And I think we are live. Let's see if this works. So I had some issues getting everything up, but now I think we're there. So I'm gonna wait a little bit to explain exactly what I'm doing until everyone has joined. So welcome to the live stream. This time I am going to do one of my new journals from scratch, so we won't get the entire way this time, but I hope that we can manage to get quite far on a journal. So I have kind of an idea what I want to do here, but not entirely. I know that I would like to do something from our recent journey, a trip to Germany, something inspired from there, and we were by the ocean, and I would really like that to be a part of this. So I think kind of a sunset theme and by the ocean, where we just had a vacation in Germany. So yeah, let's just start. So I've already taped this book at all the edges so that I won't make too much of a mess. And I'm not entirely sure about the colors here, so I'm just really gonna start with something and then see. So this is wood, and it's oil painting on wood basically, and it seeps in really nicely, so it's quite easy to paint on. I actually prefer it to a normal canvas, because on a canvas it doesn't really seep in and it takes ages and ages to dry. Well, this is much better. And hello, Parag, you managed to get here, Cute Animal Stones, and thank you for all of you who are joining me now. Let me know if you can hear me. I'm not entirely sure if this works. Hello, Siums. So if anyone, yes, Cute Animal Stones gives a thumbs up. I am hoping that that means that you can hear me. And we'll just start. So I haven't actually done any of these from scratch live before. Yes, very good, so you can hear me. Arne, hi. Hi to you. I'm so glad that so many of the regulars are here with me now. We are going to have an opening on Sunday, and I thought it'd be nice to have a little live stream before then. Hello, Agatha. Hello, welcome to all of you who are joining now. I'm so glad. And hi, Cullen. I'm so happy that every time I have these live streams, so many people that I know from here are joining. Hi. So I'm really glad about that. And yeah, so I can say this again because a lot of new people have joined. So I have a basic idea what I want to do here. Me and Lena, we were just on a vacation in Germany, and we were at the North Sea, so the west coast of Germany, and we were by had a wonderful sunset, and it's brilliant dunes. It's quite, if people are aware of how Denmark is, it's quite like that. So I would like to have something that's inspired by that. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure. So I know I wanted some kind of a sunset thing, and yeah, so what I'm basically just starting with are just some colors in the background and general idea of what I want to do, and we'll see. Hello, Credit. Will the pages be refillable? Yes, they are. So you can take them out. So it's I think I know there will be pictures of how it looks inside on our webpage. So it's binder basically. So you can just open it up, take out the pages, and take in new ones. So I'm really happy about that, because obviously with an actual oil painting on it, it would be a shame if once you filled it, that's it. So yeah, they are absolutely refillable, and we will try to find out where you can buy pages and provide the link first, and at some point we might actually provide the pages too. So welcome to all of you who are joining. I'm always so happy to see so many people here. And this is going to take a little bit until it gets really interesting, because I just have to do quite a bit of groundwork here to figure out where things are. Cool, BRW says, yeah, I think so too. I was so happy when I realized that that you would be able to take out the pages, because the books are not going to be cheap, and it would be a shame if yeah, you can just use it up and then that's it. But no, so these books are absolutely refillable, and you can basically use them and then hand them on to the next generation. Do you have one that you can show it looks? Yes, well, I do actually, but then I have to leave you really quickly and run and get it. All right, let's see here. And not everyone has left me yet. It's very good. Actually, more people have joined. Hi, Creative Kunstreise. Hi, Rosina. So here we have, this is how it looks like inside. So there you can just take up the ring binder, take out the pages, and refill it. So there we have. All right, I'm just gonna have to put this aside and then we can continue. But yeah, that's a good idea, Kyle. Thank you. All right, so that's how the books look inside. Okay, let's see here. I have to get my breath back to run up to the other room to find it. All right, let's see here. Thank you for showing us colors. You're welcome. No, that was a really good idea. All right. So this is just basically all going to be just some basics. Everything's going to look very different, but I'd like to get all the colors down first, and then we can start with the actual painting, so to speak. And if I repeat some of your comments and questions sometimes, that's because I might upload this later on YouTube, but people won't be able to see the chat afterwards. And if I repeat it, then it's going to be possible to follow it even when it's not live. Whew. Getting my breath back. Hi, Emma. Welcome to the stream. I'm so happy so many of you could make it. And I'm sure that this time of day is much better for most people. And Quillet says, hi, Kalle. I actually found Joachim through your podcast. Great episode. Oh, I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah, I'm so happy that people are finding me through that podcast now. And thank you again, Kalle, now that I have you here. For that, that's Kalle's My True North podcast that can be found on Spotify. If I can plug that now. That time is super, very good. Yeah, of course it depends on where you are in the world, but I think for most people this will actually be better than midday. Okay, so for those of you who have joined me now, so this is a wooden journal with a wood on the page, and I'm painting with oil, and it just seeps in really nicely. So my idea is that it's going to be a sunset and based upon our recent travels in Germany, where we came back this Sunday because we traveled and met Lena's family. And her grandparents live in Sylt in northern Germany by the North Sea. So I got some inspiration there. And I wanted to take that with me to these books, because what I really would like to do on these journals is to have each one truly unique unto itself. And so I need different kinds of inspirations for them. And that just was a wonderful environment and landscape. So I wanted to make a book that's based on it, and that's going to be this one. I'm assuming the covers will be treated against water and... Yes. So the cover is, I have sprayed it a lot of times with, it's, what is it called? So it's with one of these sprays, which is a varnish, and that coats it in an acrylic layer. So the paint will actually be on really well. My mother even swam with one of her talismans in the water, and everything went perfectly well. No damage to it at all. So you should be able to clean it with, well, whatever you like. And should say that, but it's yeah, it should be good. The The simple thing of joining this live stream, being greeted by "Hi Emma," is one of the little joys of my life. Emma says, "Well, you've become very much a regular here, and I'm so pleased to have you here." I really enjoyed the podcast episode. A lot of what you said resonated with me. Would listen to it again even. I am so glad you think so. Yeah, I'm was really pleased with that podcast, and I think Kala did a really good job. And when Kala interviews you, you just really feel at home and just having a conversation, which is really nice. Because that was the first podcast I've ever been in. I was quite a bit nervous, but yeah, he really does a good job. Whew, I am still kind of out of breath. I really need to exercise more. Out of my little run. But I'm a bit nervous here anyway. So if I take it to the museum, it might become the centerpiece. Well, that's the hope. So you can have it throughout your life and draw on it, and then eventually you can deliver it to your local museum. I really do hope. I can't guarantee anything with these books, but I really do think that I've coated them in a really, really thick layer of varnish, and I think and hope that that's going to protect them quite well, so that they should you should be able to use them, and the painting shouldn't get too damaged. But of course I have never really done it before, but I did paint on a few books and gave it to my family for testing, and 2 years later they still hold up really nicely and no damage really has come onto them. And I think now with wood here, that's going to be even better, because it really seeps deep into the wood. And yeah, it's just going to be an experiment basically. I think it depends on how rough you're going to treat the book, but I think if you treat it like a normal book, it should be safe. Well, that's my hope. Okay, I do need to concentrate here a little bit. Okay, so this is the way I kind of start these paintings. I just kind of start with some colors. I have a rough idea, start with some colors, and then now once I have the entire background, I can then just go from there. So if I want a sunset, and that's what I want, and it's going to be a river, and it's going to be a water with reflections in it, I'm just going to do that first, and then all of the details are going to come on top of that later. You may already talked about this, but how long does it take for oil paint to dry in wood versus canvas? Yeah, that's a good question. I did talk about it a bit, but I am happy to talk about it again. So it dries off a lot quicker. So if you can see, now I can paint on top of this. This is one of the reasons why I can do this in a live stream. So I can paint right on top of it. It dries, in a sense, it dries off right away, but not in the same way acrylic does, because if you paint in acrylic, it dries off and then it sticks, it's hard. But this dries off in the sense that it's not wet anymore. But throughout this stream for hours and hours, you can still make the paint, you can still mix it with other paint and so on, and it's still flexible, which is really great. So painting on wood really is, it's a lovely material because you just have different options. I've taken out a second mortgage to afford these. Yeah, I am sorry about the price. It kind of has to be like that. But I am really glad that people are enjoying them. And yeah, there are going to be 14 books. This one obviously isn't going to be available on Sunday. That's going to be, I think, the next time. Yeah, so there are going to be 14 of these books available on Sunday. And it's just, yeah, basically the first come, first serve principle. And then there are going to be more books in this November. Thank you for the answer. Oh, you're welcome. I am very happy to talk about anything regarding painting. And everyone who's here, just a reminder, you can talk to each other, you can ask me questions. It's a very informal live stream. This has always been my goal. And yeah, so just feel free to ask questions or just chat, really. Or take out your favorite sketchbooks and paint along, or Some people, well, that was a different time of day, had it on their computer right next to working, which is perfectly acceptable too. So here we're starting to get some of the colors in. So it's obviously going to be very different than how it looks now. But I think we're getting an idea. I want the sun in the middle here. And then I think the water line could be somewhere here, and then there are going to be dunes. Yes, Colors of the Rainbow, welcome. Hello from Greece, Joachim. Hello to all friends as well. Love your painting and books even more than glass. Yeah, I really love the books. And there are going to be a lot more live streams like these. You're live. Yes, I am. And you joined me. I'm so happy. So I'm so glad that all of you guys are here with me now. And yeah, I think we're going to have this live stream for quite a while, a few hours at least. And who knows, maybe we'll even manage to finish this book. So in the beginning, I get a bit nervous because I want it to be interesting enough for you guys to follow. It's going to be more interesting eventually when we get further along. But for now, yeah, I'll just see how many of you wish to stay. But of course, you can always join later. It's going to be going for a few hours, and we'll see how far we get. So as I said, this dries off almost right away, which means that I can actually paint from beginning to end in one go on these books. I don't really do that because there's a lot of work involved. But that means that there's no reason to stop or have to do anything, paint on anything else, because it's not dry yet. This dries so quickly, and that's really good. And that makes these live streams very, very different than all of the other with glasses on our other paintings, because I have to keep setting them away. I love the colors. It looks so calm. Well, I am a bit afraid of that because, of course, this is just the beginning and it's going to change a lot. So I have to warn you guys to not get too attached to the painting at any stage, because it's going to change quite dramatically. I usually do quite extensive changes, and sometimes it's going to look like it's for the worse. Sometimes it is for the worse, but hopefully, usually it's for the better. But sometimes some of the changes can look quite scary, especially if you really like how it's turned out. That's just how I paint, because it's not kind of I don't build the painting up, so it's not a linear progression, basically. Looking forward to moving north. Yes, I am. We really, really are. So we're moving north the 1st of November, which is actually not that far away now. And we're really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be so amazing. Now basically everything that we had to do, except for this launch on Sunday, is done. And we can start packing and moving up north, basically. The last live painting show I watched was Bob Ross. This is really nice. Oh yeah, I know Bob Ross. Well, I am glad I can do something in the same vein and carry that legacy forwards. Hello, Elizabeth. Very glad that you could join us for the stream. Yes, I really like that question about moving north, because we are so excited and really can't wait to finally move. Basically, it was wonderful here, and it's going to be strange to leave, but we are so ready for the move. Yeah, so that's really going to be an adventure. And obviously, hello from Texas. Well, hello to Texas. I'm glad you could join us. I'm always so happy about an extensive international audience here. It's so amazing. I always comment on this every time we have a stream, that it's just so incredibly amazing to have people from all over the world in this little space here. So yeah, I'm so glad about that. So I really know. I love what Bob Ross did. It was always I've watched quite a few of his videos a long time ago. such a positive vibe from his paintings. And I would like to develop these live streams quite a bit more, and I'm going to get better equipment at some point and so on. Of course, it's quite small still. I'm going to keep it like this for a little while, but eventually my goal is to get it a bit bigger because I so enjoy it that, it has to be developed. And that's one of the reasons I do it now, the live streams, because they actually really energize me too. I always find that if I'm kind of stuck in a little rut or something, and then I do one of these live streams, and it just really energizes me, and they always leave me happier and more inspired than when I started. So thank you guys for that, for being a part of this, and inspiring me in return. I always enjoy it, and I always come away from them more inspired to do this than I was before. So now comes the point where I have to be careful not to destroy it too much. Of course, this is just a very small beginning, but I would like this to be the general idea. We also can't wait for the videos of you going north. Oh, there will be. And sincerely thank you for sharing these moments. It gives us the opportunity to live up there. Even through the video. That's so nice of you to say. And of course, there are going to be videos of us moving up north. We are going to take you all with us on this adventure. That's just a lovely part of this. That's so sweet, Colors of the Rainbow says. Thank you. That's one of the wonderful things about this, is that we can take you guys all along. Will you be acquiring more green paint? Hashtag Aurora Borealis. Oh, yes, I will, most definitely. I started painting the Northern Lights a few times now. I even have one of these books with the Northern Lights. But now that there is going to be so much more Northern Lights up there, of course, there's going to be a lot more of that. I'm going to be painting a lot of Northern Lights, and I'm just so looking forward to them. It's going to be brilliant. I love being able to see the process and not just the end product when you buy it. So interesting to watch, Sion says. That's really good. Yeah, I thought that might be a nice side effect of this, that when you buy something, you can actually, know how it happened, and I really like that. Part of this mixed way of doing it, that we have videos and these live streams and so on, and then the shop. I'm really enjoying that. This is so soothing. I adore you and Lena. You're truly inspirational. Radu says, thank you. I really appreciate that. I thank you guys. That inspires us in return to know that we have you guys as followers and people that are with us on this journey, and it's such a nice, wonderful community. And you guys, it's just really so great to have this. It's already calming. Very good, and it's going to be a lot more calming once I settle a bit into this too. I'm always kind of nervous at the beginning, not only of a live stream, but on the beginning of a painting like this, and then doing it live. But once I get a bit more into it, and my heart rate goes down. How did you end up choosing doing oil landscape painting? Did you experiment with other techniques? No, actually I didn't. But the reason I did it like that was because I used to build little landscapes with paper clay and so on. And then when I decided I needed to start painting, I started painting with my grandfather's oil paintings. And that's the reason why it was oil painting, really. That's the only thing I had, so I didn't really have anything to experiment with. So I just used his paints, and that's what I've stuck with. So I've really only done oil painting and a bit of Chinese ink. And landscapes is what I did anyway, so that's what I started with, and that's what I've kept on doing. So it's it's kind of stayed like this, basically. Whew, okay. And now I should probably decide where the dunes are going to be. And I think I would like this to be quite a large open landscape. This is going to be a bit scary because I have to paint some because I think the colors are kind of there. I heard a podcast of you with color. I really enjoyed to get to know your story. And I think it's amazing that you paint without any reference. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm so glad that you guys have listened to the podcast with color. I really enjoyed that one. For those of you who don't know it, it's called My True North. It's available on Spotify by Color Flodine. Okay, this is scary. I've never done this kind of a landscape before. And that means that I'm gonna have to just plop something in and hope that it works. So I don't think I want the water all the way here. I want some waves and so on. So I'm just going to put something in here and then we'll see what's happening up here. So, okay, let's just... Okay, there we are. So all of this, I just, as you just heard, I just do by feel, basically, because I don't have a reference painting, photo or anything. So, for instance, here I'm just going to plop things in and then kind of go from there and hope that it turns out well. So I would like the reflections. So these are going to be sand dunes, basically, and then with some grass on top, because it's inspired by the landscapes and the islands of Germany, in the North Sea of Sylt. And I can only remember because I don't paint from references, as I already said. I'm just gonna have to try and figure out what works here. I already love how the books how books smell. Now I can't imagine how even better it would smell with the painting. Well, I really, really hope that you guys are going to enjoy the books, and I'm so excited for the launch now. Hey from Denmark, what do you think about digital art versus classical art? Oh, they're so different. I think there's very much a space for both. Of course, I enjoy this kind of painting, but I mean, digital art is wonderful. I really love the fantasy digital arts, where with the lights, when the whole painting just glows, and that's obviously something I can't do because I can't paint with that kind of neon light that you can do in a digital painting. And some of those works are just wonderful, and I take a lot of inspiration from them. So I have all my deepest respect for digital art and the range of opportunities that you have with that, I think are wonderful. Now, I'm very much traditional in the sense that this is what I know and this is what I'm going to stick with, but I love what digital artists are creating. And the landscapes that people can make in the digital realm are just breathtaking. And I do get quite a bit jealous sometimes what people can do there. Okay, and I think some kind of a little more islets or something here. And I'm not entirely sure how far this is going to be away from the... Once we plop a few trees down, this is going to be a bit clearer, I think. Okay, so we'll have waves here. Some trees here, and maybe if there are dunes, I have to remember that I'm not painting something I painted before, which means that I can't just paint on autopilot. That always makes it so much more difficult. If you paint something new, then sometimes I just go autopilot and I notice, oh crap, in this painting there weren't supposed to be any pines or something, because that's just what I know. So it's already beautiful. Thank you. I'm gonna try to not to mess it up too badly. So if there are going to be dunes, yeah, they're going to be painted on later anyway. So just gonna have to get these down. I think this is gonna be the land. There could be land in the background, very far background here too. But I am not entirely sure. So for instance, if there are cliffs here, they could be very hidden. I'll just paint something and you can just remove them if it's not nice. That's the nice thing here, of course. Things don't have to stay. If they don't fit, you can always remove them again later. But I think can kind of be a little bit foggy. That can come on top of that later. So that there are kind of some islands or some kind of land just far off in the distance. That might be nice. So something like that, that'll give us some depth too. And then maybe a little something that comes in from the side here, and then we can do some water. Most of the time I join the live stream in the middle, and I can confirm you seem more excited in the beginning. I can understand. I made bookmarks yesterday and enjoyed it way too much. Yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah, I calm down eventually in the live stream and kind of get into the flow. And in the beginning, my heart rate is up, and yeah, so it's going to be more calming eventually for all of us. All right, I think we have the main kind of idea here. Okay, it's starting to take form, and I can start to calm down a bit. I can make some of the waves now, I think. So I haven't made too many of these kinds of paintings, which is adding to my nervousness here. So I'm just gonna do this really slowly and surely to make sure that I'm not gonna mess it up too much. I found mixing the right color very challenging. I'm trying to get to acrylic painting on canvas, but I'm struggling a bit in comparison to digital art. You just choose it with a few clicks. Oh, yes, I can understand. Yeah, that's kind of the thing about choosing a field or experimenting. I know when I started with glass painting and so on, things were just so different that it's hard not to get frustrated, because sometimes if you're just so used to one thing, it can be an incredible challenge to do something else. As someone with very bad anxiety, it's actually already coming. Oh, I am sorry for bad anxiety, though. I know how that is. But maybe we can all calm down a bit here together and find a nice pace. And this kind of anxiety, thankfully, is not actually bad. My blood pressure is 100/70. Yeah, so that's good. We can all kind of take a breath and calm down together. How does the different materials you paint on differ, and how you can paint them? All right, there are quite a lot. So of course on glass it doesn't seep in, so you can't paint in layers like this. You have to burn it and then you can paint on top of it. And since it doesn't seep in at all, you're just moving paint around, while here it actually sticks to the page. So it matters an incredible amount what kind of material it is. And acrylic dries very fast. Yes, that is very frustrating. Practice make perfect. Yeah. No, so do the anxiety part. I know a lot of people are struggling with bad anxiety, and I know my share of it. So that's one of the things that I really hope that, for instance, these live streams can be a part of. Just calming down. And that's very different than just sleeping or something. It's just feeling of safety and being in a good space. Can I ask if you also made the book? Oh no, we did buy the book. The book is bought from a little family firm in the Ukraine, and they have made the book. Not entirely sure of the process. I can't say it's completely handmade, but it's made by a little family firm in the Ukraine. Because Lena had already bought a book like this, and when I had the idea of painting on books, it was such a wonderful book that I decided, okay, let's contact them and see if they will be willing to sell us books that aren't prepared in any way, because they sketch into them and so on. And they said yes. And so they provided us with these books. Well, we bought these books, but without anything on them, so that I can paint on them. It's funny how seeing this art on the first page of the book makes you want to write something important as a famous writer. Well, exactly. That'll be all of your challenge now. When you buy the book, I expect great things from you. Fill it with wonderful sketches, ideas, stories, and And yeah, I think that would be just brilliant if people use these books for their own dreams. Then one dream can inspire another. I agree with the other that your voice is very soothing. My husband says you should try to make audiobooks. Well, I suppose this is a form of audiobook now. I really appreciate that. That makes it a bit easier for me to keep on when I know that my voice is alright. I know that every time I read aloud in class, everyone would just go fall asleep. But I suppose that's not necessarily a bad thing. No, so yeah, creating a safe space. And I really love it, where I can see that everyone now is feeling more comfortable and you guys are starting to write, and I really like that. About anxiety, Elizabeth says, do you know Huberman Lab is neuroscientist who shares a lot of real-time tools to calm down? I don't, but I'm glad you share those things. I think it's important, especially in this kind of environment in the world, to calm down from time to time. Audiobook about how you paint. I will buy it. Well, I have a lot of plans and ideas, and who knows, that might be one of them one day. So many interesting things to be done. But the first thing I think is to expand these live streams. I would like to have better camera equipment and perhaps even at some point a camera picture of me at the same time. Do you have backstories to your paintings? Well, not really. So that depends on what you mean, I suppose. So for the paintings are usually, as you see now, they're kind of works that kind of grow while I paint them. So I have ideas and thoughts to them, but I don't plan them, and so I suppose there aren't any backstory. Looking at the horizon when taking the periphery. I practice them regularly. Right, the stressors. That's good. Can you tell us about some of your future ideas? Beautiful paintings, or a book from you would be really nice, actually. Thank you, Radu. Can you tell us about some of your future ideas? Well, one of them will be to have, in that sense, some of the larger paintings that I would like to paint, and I would like to paint quite a bit larger, so that you really feel like you're sitting inside it. And I want them to be more thought out than what I've done so far, so that they will be somewhat different, that they'll be more works of art than just techniques. It's very difficult to explain, but that the larger paintings are going to be more special, so to speak. But the main thing there is just the size, really, so that you can almost sit inside them. Another idea is to expand the live streams. I really enjoy them, and I would like to move them to YouTube at some point. With the chat and perhaps an image of me, and something that you can have much more of the feeling that you're in a room with me when I paint. So that's one. And other future ideas have to do, well, a lot of our ideas obviously have to do with the farm and so on, but in the terms of painting, I think the main next thing is going to be the size of the painting, and that's going to open quite a lot of avenues. I did paint a painting in my dorm room. That's not dorm room, a room I rented while I was studying. And there I painted the walls, and there were 3-4 meter tall walls in the entire room, so that you really had the feeling that you stood inside the painting, and that was really wonderful. Do you listen to music while painting? Yes, I do. I listen to all kinds of different music while painting. So yeah, it's the short answer to that. I absolutely listen to music when I paint. I listen to audiobooks when I paint too. Obviously, I paint a lot, especially since going professional now. So I listen to podcasts, I listen to music. If I have really repetitive work, I can even watch movies that I watched before. Have you thought about painting shirts? Well, I think that would be difficult because, of course, if you use them, I think they're going to be ruined really quickly, and I'm not sure how it's going to be in the wash. So I haven't thought about painting shirts yet. And that seems a bit too an everyday object. I would like to have at least objects that are more a bit more exclusive, if you know what I mean. I think there are lots of things to paint on, but t-shirts are not the first one. Ooh, share music recommendations. And Elizabeth asks about podcasts. I'll get there. So lots of different music. If you like Chinese music, I can heartily recommend Yam Yang Dolma. She's a wonderful Chinese performer. We have so many different ones. So I don't really have. We have this playlist. I'm trying to figure out which musicians. Adrian Ziegler obviously is wonderful if you want to study or just kind of get into a little calm mood. Adrian Ziegler is wonderful. I really need my playlist. Kråkevik, if you guys would like to listen to some Norwegian music that I'd really love. She's called Herborg Kråkevik with the Norwegian letters, but if you Google it, you'll find it and you'll see how it's written. Did you mess up any of your paintings? So many. Oh, and okay. Lots and lots of questions, like silk scarves, maybe. Yes, silk scarves might be better. And podcasts, I really like some of the political ones, like the Ezra Klein show, for instance. And I listen to New York Times. I listen to Verena König, is a German one about trauma. So that's really interesting. So lots of different kind of ways. Can you maybe share the playlist? If you go to Lena Henningsen on Spotify, you will find a few of these songs at least there. That's actually quite a bit of the music that I listen to you will find under Lena Henningsen's. Let's see, I have to get up. It's really interesting that yours and Lena inspiration come from this calm and peaceful vibe and not through these notion motivational videos that are all over the internet. This is unique. Oh, thank you. Different music pieces have different effects on your emotions. Yes, that's very true, I think. I agree. So lots of different kinds of music, but usually it's calm and peaceful. And I listen to Enya a lot. I really, really love Enya. But I think you all know her. So Colors of the Rainbow, go to Lena Henningsen. And she has shared quite a few playlists. And so I think that's the best way. Perhaps in the future you can do a live stream outside so you can see both your painting and the scenery around it. I have thought about that. Here, that's one of the reasons why we're so glad that we're moving. We have a road, believe it or not, even though we're in the middle of the forest, in the mountains, away from everyone, basically. There is still a main road going through the valley, quite far away from us, but it's downhill, so we can hear it. And it would really mess up a live stream. But once we move, it's going to be quiet. And there I can actually have a live stream outside. It's probably dark in Norway at the moment, but a nice idea, Senpai says. Hi, Senpai. Yes, it is dark in Norway at the moment, but I can have an artificial light there. But I don't think you could see both, though, because it has to focus on something. But I could be outside and wave the camera around a bit. Yeah, that would be special. Do you paint outside sometimes, Joachim? I have painted outside, and quite a lot on our vacations, and when we're driving around with the van. Here, this bloody road really kind of ruins the ambience. But once we move, I am sure I'm going to paint outside a lot more. Just take a flashlight and you'll be fine. Yeah, something like that. I need quite a strong light, though, for painting. I did paint in candlelight. I lived in a Mongolian yurt for a winter, and there I painted in candlelight. But every morning, when I looked at what I painted, it was just dreadful. It looked completely different in the day than what I thought it would look like. So I had to stop that. On the topic of holidays, how was it? It was wonderful. Or a torch. Yeah, that's the candlelight thing. The light is just... It was wonderful. We had a really full-packed visit to Germany. Visited Lena's family, her grandparents and parents. And it was great. I finally got to see where Lena grew up. And Lüneburg, the small little, wonderful little middle-agey town. Where she grew up, and that was great. It was kind of a deep dive into her world, a place in Germany where I've never been before. The natural light is always the best. The natural light is brilliant, but torches are a problem. Very much a problem. And for those of you who send request of being in the live video, just be warned, if I ever click on that, your face will suddenly be in the live stream. So that's what that means, be requesting to be in the live video. I've never been mean enough to actually accept that, because I'm pretty sure that most of you who request to be live in the video are not actually don't know what you're requesting. Just a warning. Painting by a small river would be a nice idea. Oh, smooth water does sound nice. Yes, you're right. And we are actually going to have a small river where we are moving to. And it's very calm, very quiet. So I think there would be a wonderful place to do a live painting. And I think once I can move this over to YouTube, then I will have more opportunities with the cameras. And I'm going to inherit a camera of Lena's when she gets a new one. And I can hook that up, and the quality will be better, and I can have two cameras so you can see where I sit and what I paint. I listened to your podcast many times. It came to me just right. Time to encourage me to keep going on my journey. Oh, that's brilliant. So I really thank you for sharing so honestly your story. I am so glad that inspired you, and I'm so happy about that. Thank you. That inspires me very much in return. I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed the podcast. So yeah, here we are moving a bit now, getting those that sunlight into the painting. So this is nice. Once I've gotten to this point, everything is kind of at the place where it should be, and I can calm down a bit more. Okay, so we have the light here, and it's not going to be too difficult for a little while, until kind of the new things are going to start appearing. But yeah, some of the white light here, and then we're going to get some more colors into it, and yeah, I think this is good. Yeah, for me the same. I also love Lena's podcast as well. It's important to surround yourself with people who inspire you. I'm so glad that we can do that. The painting is so beautiful. Thank you. I am glad. I hope it turns out well. Because as I said earlier, this is a bit of an experiment for me. I haven't painted open water like this in quite a while. And without a reference, I'm just basically going on memory, and yeah, let's hope that it turns out well. Surround yourself, I mean at least virtually. Yes, well, at least that. I have got to go, but I wanted to say I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad there's 21 people here. Most there's 10 or something like that. Yeah, it's growing. Thank you, Agatha. Thank you for joining. And I'll probably be putting it up on YouTube so you can see the rest there, or at the very least on Instagram TV. So thank you for joining, and see you perhaps in the next live stream. These waves look so nice. I am glad. It's still not that difficult. It's going to be more difficult when I'm getting into the details of the waves, but we'll see. Bye. Do you select and mix all colors before starting the painting, or as you go? As I go. So I have, I'm not going to move this camera because it took me quite a while to set it up, but I have a big plate here basically full of different colors, of all the different colors that I thought I might use, and then I just mix them as I go. So there is no color scheme or plan here. beforehand. It's just by intuition, basically. If you sleepwalk, try to paint something. The results would be awesome. I did used to sleepwalk when I was smaller. I have still not painted anything in my dreams, but I have done a bit of lucid dreaming, which means that you kind of wake up and you know you're dreaming. Maybe I'll try to paint a bit while I'm awake in my dreams. Let's see what comes from it. Yeah, so I'm actually really glad that I don't sleepwalk anymore, because when I was a child, I remember one time, well, I don't remember, I was told, and I remember a bit of it. I took my duvet and pillows and started walking off to the neighbor's house until my father found me and got me back. So I'm glad I'm not doing things like that anymore. Hello, Krusty. I'm so glad you could join us here. Hi, sweetheart. Wonderful that all of you are here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm so glad that so many of you managed to join me for this live stream. And I'm so glad, Krusty, that you did. I know that you were sad that you didn't get the last one. And especially for this one, because I think this is going to be... Well, I really enjoy the fact that we can have one of these paintings from beginning to end. I always... Well, not to end. I promised too much there, but we'll see. I'm so glad to see you all, Krusty says. Hi, Krusty from Senpai. Are you from... Well, if you commenting to me, I am from Norway. Let's see here. Okay, we have the waves. Now the question is going to... Well, I think we're going to do a bit more work on the waves until I'm going to start planting... Well, that's the thing. Should I even plant trees? This is supposed to be dunes. Does Lena also paint? Yes, Lena paints. She hasn't painted as much recently, but she does paint, and it's going to be more now that we move, I think. And she paints quite similar to me, just more detail oriented, and well, not more detail in that sense, but not as filled with so many things. I really love Lena's paintings. Thank you, Colors of the Rainbow. She has me think, otherwise I would have missed it again. Oh, she has sent me the link. Oh, I'm so glad that you did. Colors of the Rainbow. Brilliant. Hi, I also remember you and some of you guys, even if I didn't catch the stream for a long time. Yeah, it's wonderful that so many of you have become regulars, and even if you miss one or two of these streams, I can still just pop in and remember one another. I'm so happy about that you guys are starting to know each other. It's just, it's brilliant. It's a kind of an aspect of these streams that I didn't think of when I started them. That of course you guys are going to start to get to know one another as well, which I think is just brilliant. Hope you can see Lena's painting sometimes. I am sure you can. Although, knowing her, she's quite a perfectionist, and it's probably not going to be until she's happy with them. I have to plug in my... Ah, there we are. How did you learn to paint? Well, I taught myself, basically. So I picked up some my grandfather's painting kit, but he was dead at the time, and I didn't learn from him. I just started painting, but YouTube has been a great help, I have to admit. So just lots of videos on different techniques and experimenting, basically. It's been a while since I've caught a stream as well. It's nice to see everyone again. Yeah, I am so pleased that so many of you managed to catch this stream. And that you guys are getting to know one another, as I said. That's just brilliant. And really makes me want to continue these live streams. Because it's community building, which is great. And I know that from all of the followers, and the people that write us and so on, the people that I really feel I actually know are you guys that join me for the live stream. Because it's just a completely different contact than just writing to one another online, than to actually have you here live. I think that's really, really wonderful. So a lot of this now is just going to be, it's a bit finicky because I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing. So I'm just going to have to experiment a bit to see how I can get these waves the way I want them. So I'm worrying that it might get a bit boring until I figure out exactly what I want to do, and then we can do some bigger stuff eventually. Maybe you can make some Facebook group in the future for the community. Well, I don't actually use Facebook, but I will think about trying to make the community a community in some way. That's not a bad idea. Facebook might actually be the place to do it, but I have to give it a bit of thought because I don't actually use Facebook anymore. But yeah, to have a place where everyone can get to know one another is not a bad idea. I will have to give it some thought. Hello, tell me if you remember me, because I don't have a good memory. Or a Discord. Discord is a great place for communities. Yeah, I have heard about Discord too. So I'm not on any of these community platforms, but I'll have to give it some thought, and maybe I can find a place. I'll leave now. Wish you all a nice rest of the evening, Elizabeth Ryder says. Well, bye, Elizabeth. Always so happy of having you here. You always ask very interesting questions. And till next time, bye. So I can see and read that there is interest in community building here. And that is not a bad thing, so I'll have to give it some thought and figure out how to do it. Creative Constressor says bye to Elizabeth. I don't know Discord well, but a group of us sounds wonderful. I'll have to give it some thought, but at least you guys are all here. And I'll have to figure out how to progress with this. Your username rings a bell, Senpai says the colors of the rainbow. Oh, you guys have definitely chatted with each other in this stream before. Oh, hi, Creative Constress. Thank you very much, Joachim, for the nice words. Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for joining and being a part of this. And until next time. Yeah, and this community just makes the stream so much more interesting and wonderful that you guys are chatting with each other too. Because then I don't have to be as scared about having to make this interesting. Because obviously sometimes when I do this detail work, it might get a bit boring. But then you guys can chat with one another. I'm a great fan of that. Here is also very nice. Joachim's voice, definitely. Yeah, I am so happy with this community. And Lena says that too, that we just really think we have the absolute nicest, kindest people. The internet can be a scary place, and there can be a lot of negative comments, but not for us so far, because we're basically just such nice people, you guys, and we are so thankful for that. For this, every time we have these live streams, it's just such a wonderful time. So I can't really praise you guys enough for that. Okay, so we have the reflections. I kind of think that we need some waves to be a lot darker to get some more contrast in, but I'm always a bit scared of that process. Because now I think most of the colors and that is kind of where I want it. But at some point now, I'm going to have to get some darker color in, I think. And seeing as though I haven't done this so many times, these kinds of waves and so on, I really, really hope that's not going to destroy anything. But the only way to find out is to try. And so I think I'm going to do some darker color. and see where that goes. So to start from the edges, I think this is going to be the point where I'm going to have to start concentrating. But keep chatting, and I will look at it as much as I can. So, of course, since I don't really look at photos while I paint, some of the things that come up sometimes is a moment like this where I'm not entirely sure how these waves would usually look in actuality, and I'm just gonna have to try to figure out. So what I usually do, I try to learn how they behave, just a general pattern behind what I paint, for instance in clouds and so on. But I can't entirely remember the pattern sometimes, and I have to paint until I kind of find it again. And often there aren't that many patterns that you have to keep in mind. If you find a few, then often you basically have everything in order to paint it without looking at it. But for instance, the shadow here would be on this side, on the both of these sides, and it will reflect the sky. And kind of these kind of things in order to paint things from, because it's not just memory, it's a lot of this is well it is memory, I suppose, things that I have learned, so not a memory of something in particular, but just knowing how it behaves. And I'm desperately trying to find that pattern here. Let's see, and because I would like to add the whites afterwards, but for that to really work out well, I need the contrast, and so I need it to be darker, basically. But maybe not too dark. I mean, sometimes I remember the water where we were, even at the North Sea one day, and it was just incredibly calm, and the sky just reflected entirely in the waves, and it just made this wonderful light color. I think that might be something I would like here too. Not this dark, scary sea, but this kind of dreamy, far off reflection of the sky. So I think I'll just smooth things out first, and then maybe we can concentrate a bit more on the landscape first and then come back to it. Or the sky or something like that. And do some whites in the water too, because that always gives it more life. So this is where I can illustrate how it's different from acrylic paints. Because with acrylic paints, this would now be dry and I could paint on top of it. But since it's oil on a book, it's not completely dry. And that means that I can always, the thing that I do now, I'm not actually applying any paint. I'm just adding turpentine, which is what you use to thin it. And then I'm just using the paint that's already there. And that's one technique that I really, really like with oil painting on wood. And that makes it possible to just smooth everything out, basically. Oh my god. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys. I had the screen frozen, And I thought no one was writing anything for ages. I'm just gonna have to go through this. I have to go. I'm sorry, I didn't get to say goodbye to Marcel. Drawing from memory. Have you? I want to paint on my own inspirations. Oh yeah, absolutely. I am so sorry, guys. Everyone just here we are. Last month I'm being creative. Eileen says, is it relaxing? I'm trying to paint, but I'm a perfectionist. My typing Joachim's voice is a big part of the experiment. Almost an ASMR. You could make a zippered cover to protect the book. Pranay, yes, hi Pranay. I do remember you. I am good. Thank you. Okay, I think I am there now. Okay, so let's go down again. There you are. Okay, so inspiration for painting from, let's see, what was your question? Was, yeah, I want to paint out of my own inspiration. So the greatest tip I can give there is just to start with a general idea in your mind of what you kind of want to do, and then just do colors. Just paint with, and it doesn't really have to be anything in particular, just do different colors, and then you can go from there. Let go of your idea, what you wanted to do. And then, for instance, what I do here, I can just say, okay, there might be nice. It might be nice with a tree here, so I'll paint that, and that tree could lead to, okay, then a bush here, and then the reflection here. So you can just go off like that. You don't have to have a reference point. You don't have to have a clear idea what you want to do, and that frees you up to just go with what's already there. And that's a really good way, I think, to paint from what you have just in your mind and not something else. The paintings will aspire all to write something meaningful. Wonderful. I need to give it a try too. Absolutely. Dude, just painting like that, I think it's wonderful, and it just gives you such a freedom. Nice to see you here, Senpai says to Emma. How are you? I am so happy about you guys creating this community. All right, let's see if I can do some waves. And if I missed anything, you just have to write it again. I do actually try to answer everything that you guys write. And I hope, Pranay, I hope you got my hello belatedly. I now seem to be caught up. So if I missed anything, just ask me again, and I'll get to it. Because I'm not actually in a hurry here. Even though it might seem like that. And we have lots of time. And I will get to any question. That's one of the things that's good. I'm quite sure that at some point this live stream is going to expand to such an extent that it might be difficult to answer everything. But for now, that's something I think we can all appreciate, the fact that it's small. And I'll figure some way where we can still have this mood even if it gets bigger. How do you handle to be so vulnerable to share your story? I think vulnerability is really powerful. Well, I think that's, I think you kind of touched on it there. I think it can be a lot more challenging to try to be strong and tough and not honest and straightforward. So actually just being honest and being myself really makes it much easier, at least for me. And I think that's a big part of it. I just enjoy being able to be open and honest, because in the end, that's actually the easiest thing. If you try to pretend to be something you're not, and of course all of us do from time to time, and I think everyone knows this, that's actually the hard thing. That's actually the hard part. So I just really enjoy that, and I think that's kind of the reason. How does it feel to go with the flow? Well, if you mean with the painting, it's wonderful. Just to paint with what's there. I love that. It just gives you such you don't have to think. It's wonderful. It's a kind of meditation. If you paint like this, you can just kind of let your hand do the work in a way, and you can just kind of see what's there, and you don't have to fight to try to fulfill something that you think you have to do. Do you have a final image in mind while painting? No, not at all. I have a no. I have a vague idea of how I want to start. I have no final image at all ever in mind. So this is very much as far as my idea of this painting ever went. So just the idea is usually kind of just a vague memory of something, and then it goes from there, and often it turns out very differently. How beautiful. Well, thank you, Eileen. That's already a good tip, Eileen says. Oh, I'm so glad that was helpful. It's often quite difficult to kind of explain how I do these things, but I mean, talking about it here helps a lot, and that kind of sorts out my mind on these things and makes it clearer to me too. So yeah, no, there's no image in mind, and that's really a part of it as well, because then I'm not bound into anything in particular where it ought to go, and that just kind of frees up the entire process. I am so very curious how will the final. I am curious too. That's very much a part of the process. Is I am very curious how this is going to turn out. And of course, I have ideas, but I have no idea how it's going to turn out in the end. By the technique, I mean your whole process, etc. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really enjoy the technique. It's just kind of developed that way of its own accord over the years. But I really enjoy it, and so I've kind of stuck to it. So now I'm just doing some kind of little detail work here. It's not going to be the end all of these ways, but I need. That's one thing that you'll often see, and that makes it a bit easier if you paint with different techniques. You can kind of build it up because you know how it's going to look. So you wouldn't have to do things like that, like I do now. Now I'm painting details that I might paint over later, but I need them so that I can know how things look and know how I'm going to progress. So sometimes I need to paint things that aren't actually necessary for the end painting, but I need them in order to know what I'm going to be painting next and so on. My screensaver on my phone is almost the same as this painting without the land. Yeah, I suppose it's kind of a traditional setup in a way of the colors. That is going to change eventually. And I think we can do some more cloud work actually now. I need the water to rest a little bit until I get back here. I can do a little bit here. So some stormy waves that kind of crash in on the beach here. I wonder, do you sometimes paint people? No, I never paint people or animals. That's kind of something I decided quite early on. I want the focus to just be completely on nature. And so I don't. I only paint things that don't move, basically. I always find that if you nothing against painting people into paintings, obviously that's wonderful, and I'm so glad a lot of painters do. But I always find that if you have an animal or a person in a painting, then that's going to be the focus. People look at people. And if I want the focus to be on the landscape, on nature, I don't have any people in there, because that's really the only way to draw people's attention to it. And now, after so many years of just doing that, I have no idea how to paint people anyway. So there is no risk of doing that, because it would be so new that I would have to be really, really motivated, and I'm just not. Nature is amazing by itself. Yes, I think so. I obviously people are wonderful, and absolutely they should be painted. But I think that some of us should at least just showcase nature. Because often I think our focus is that nature is something where you can put something, either people or houses or animals or something. It's always used as a background. And I really like the idea that we can get more to the idea that it's worth something in and of itself. It doesn't have to exist for anything else. Nature and forests, it's enough. Just that it's there. It doesn't have to be practical. It doesn't have to be used. It doesn't have to be lived in order to be wonderful. So I think my mission is going to be to just show how great it is in and of itself. And I think that hopefully will make it more difficult to chop down forests and so on. If people can see how wonderful it just is just by being. So yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of my mission. It's just to make that clear to people. Well said. Thank you. Wonderful mission. Thank you, Radu. Well, we all have our part to play, and I think that's going to be mine. Nature is wonderful and long-lasting. How many human lives a mountain witnessed? Humans and animal life is fleeting relative to nature, Senpai says. Very true. Okay, now the thing's gonna be with this sky. Because I like things to be a bit more clear than they are here. But I do kind of like the colors, so I don't want to mess it up too much. Let's see here. The danger is always just to ruin all the nice colors and so on. I don't want to do that. I just want it to be clear, the clouds and so on. Abstract is wonderful, but it's not what I do, so I would like things to be recognizable for what they are, so just to kind of get some structure and so on into this. Which colors are you using? So I'm using oil colors. If you mean what kind of colors in specific, then well, tell me and I can I can tell you about what the names are and so on. Yes, are you using oil colors? Yes, I am. I am using oil colors. I always paint with oil colors. I always think that acrylic colors just simply they dry too quickly. But of course you can use different oils and so on, or different mixtures for them. But I always enjoy that with oil. Oh, it didn't finish when I was eating. Here's my comeback. Yeah, I told you guys this is going to be quite a long stream. So there's room to eat and have breaks and come back. So welcome back to the stream. No, this isn't going to finish for quite a while. I think my goal is basically going to finish this, basically. We'll see, but it would be fun for you guys to get the entire painting from start to finish, I think. When you first painted that land in the background, I thought, no, Yeah, that's the problem with these paintings, that it can be very scary when I paint things in. I think it's going to be good though. You'll see. And if it's not, then we can always remove them. But I think it's going to be good. So here you can see one of the things that I love to do with clouds and with the background. Just to paint a really abstract background first, and then you can use that abstraction to paint the realistic details in afterwards. All we need is some hot biscuits and coffee, tea in the background. Very good. But it's amazing to see how you're able to create depth. Ah, thank you, Tesla. Well, I have to go. Wish you good night, all, Creative Kunstreise says. Well, see you soon, Creative Kunstreise. Thank you for joining. I like their line in the background, Rhoda says. I'm fine, thank you. Hope you're fine too, Agata. Says 2 colors of the rainbow. Yeah, the line in the background is going to be very helpful for the depth. That's something absolutely Agata is right there. That's exactly what it creates, and that's why I wanted it there. And I'm going to do some highlights on it, and that's going to... Well, I can do that now, actually, because I think that's going to be quite nice. So we can just add a bit of highlights onto the line in the background. And I think actually that's going to be quite nice, and it's going to make it even more part of the painting. Sorry, I feel I'm commenting too much. No such thing, Colors of the Rainbow. No, not at all. I really like the fact that you guys are a part of this and commenting. And there's no such thing as too much. In the end, I don't have to answer everything. So just comment and talk. And yeah, feel at home in this live stream. No such thing as commenting too much or being annoying or anything like that. It's just wonderful that you are here, and yeah, I like that. I'm okay now thanks to this live stream. Very good. Joachim, I absolutely love this idea of yours with this book. It's so nice. Thank you, Krasi. I appreciate that. Some sun somewhere looks like a portal in the background. I really like that. I always loved that with these landscape ever since I was a child. Or just kind of having this feel of being in a far distant land, or just being able to melt into the landscape. So I always try to create something of that in mind. I remember as a child, I always wished I could create something like this. Do you at times find it harsh to know when your painting is done? That's something Astral... Yes, I know what you mean. Thank you, Joachim Calls the Rainbow says. Oh, thank you. Yes, absolutely. I know what you mean. So I used to struggle a lot with that. I have a little bit of that still. But what I do now is that I basically paint until all the details are at the same level, if you know what I mean. So that they're all at the same detail depth. And then I kind of know that the painting is finished. So once kind of all the big things are done, I go over all the small things. And once everything is as detailed as everything else, then I know that it is finished. I'm not sure if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how I do it. But I used to have problems with that a lot. My son is asleep now. I can really enjoy this time. I am glad. I am glad he's finally asleep and that you can be here. How many years would you say it took for you to get this good at painting? Well, I've been painting since I was 19. I am 30 now. So, 11 years, I suppose. Not to discourage anyone. Of course, it's possible to learn painting much faster than I did. I taught myself, and all the mistakes had to be made by me again and again. So of course it's very possible to learn much, much quicker than I did. And Muna, you shared your name once here in the group, and we all know it. Well, that's the danger here. People have long memories. I remember you saying long time ago during a stream, your username was familiar, but you pictured different colors of the rain. Yes, that's it. I did call Emma Emona for a little while in a stream. I was very, very, very embarrassed. And I'm so sorry to both of you for that. I think that might have been a part of it. That's the danger of calling you guys by different names than you have in your profile, because I will sometimes get it wrong. And that was incredibly embarrassing. Emma took it well, and Emuna wasn't there. Colors of the Rainbow remembers Senpai now, but I think, yeah, it was one of the first live streams that where I actually talked, that you guys got to know one another. It's a long time ago now. And more people are starting to become regulars in this live stream. And I am, at some point, it's going to be difficult to remember everyone, but you guys are all very memorable, and it's gone quite alright so far. Yes, I was wondering when Joachim was mentioning him when she was not there. Yes, that, oh no. In the UK, we have an advert for a website called confused.com. Oh yeah, that memory. It's okay, Joachim. I'm glad you remember my name at all and you pronounce it very well. Thank you, Colors of the Rainbow. Do you have a picture in your head, or does the idea progress as you paint? Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Asia. Welcome to the stream. So, I do not have a picture in my head. It just progresses as I go along. I had somewhat of an idea when I started this painting. I knew that I wanted a sunset, and I knew that I wanted it to be an ocean view inspired by a recent memory from where we traveled to. But that's all, and that's kind of been used up now. So from now on, it's just basically going to be going on how it's now. And I know that these are going to be sand dunes. That's kind of it. So that's going to be based on some memories that I have and some plants that I memorized there. Good evening to you too, Senpai says. Senpai, was your name Jack? I think that's true. Very well remembered, Cressy. I surprised myself now. Yeah, I remember that live stream when these things got out. I said this before and I'll say it again. I'm so glad that you guys are getting to know each other. And it's not a bad idea, this with trying to figure out a place for this community and just kind of have to figure out where and how. But maybe a Facebook thing isn't such a bad idea. I don't use Facebook anymore. But I'll have to consider that, because it's really nice, this community, and it's a shame that you guys can only be in contact over the stream. Although, of course, I kind of like the exclusivity here. So yeah, for instance, these highlights and so on, it's just it's basically just going off feel and hoping it's going to turn out nice. And I'm kind of scared to going down here and figure out how this is all going to look. But hopefully it'll turn out alright. Alright, let's see here. The only thing that could shorten this stream is if my battery runs out on my headphones, but then I have a different phone that I can get into. Well, at least we have at least 1 or 2, maybe 3 hours left. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough for the painting to be finished, but we'll see. Who still uses Facebook? I mean, as much as Instagram. No idea, Gata. I haven't used Facebook in a long time. Friends are always surprised about the things I remember. Don't worry about it. Just a reminder for those who are interested, my name is Imuna, which means faith in Hebrew. So colors of the rainbow. Yeah, that's very good, because colors of the rainbow, it always takes quite a little while to say. And I'm going to do my best to not call Emma Amuna. Let's see here. Well, things are starting to take shape. Okay, senpai. Oh, it's always so embarrassing when you don't remember the names of people and you meet them. All right, it's starting to take shape, and I'm always happy when my clouds can appear. I use Instagram much more than Facebook. I only really use Facebook for my village community group and work stuff. Ah, yes. Facebook is probably just, from a lot of people now, a kind of a community thing, which is obviously something you can't do in that way on Instagram, I think. Such a beautiful meaning, Emuna. My full name, Krasimira, means beautiful piece in Bulgarian. Oh, that's wonderful. Or more correctly, someone who makes the piece more beautiful. That is a lovely name. Agree. Have you guys met people in person? I remember, but don't remember. Oh, yes. Too many times. Yeah, I do have a Facebook account too. I haven't been there in ages. I'm sure there are lots and lots of messages that I haven't answered. Oh well. Hi Joachim. I just want to say that your work is lovely, and I think everything you and Lena create for your store is beautiful. Johannik says, thank you. I very much appreciate it. That is very inspiring. And I'm so glad that you think so. I met people that I remembered, but they didn't remember me. Oh, yeah, well, that happens too. But at least that's not as embarrassing. That's probably why I remember names. I have to remember lots of names for my job. No, I am so glad that you guys enjoy what we do. And it's always so inspiring to hear from you. We get such wonderful messages and feedback. And that really inspires us to keep going and to keep sharing and keep doing what we do. So just thank you all for that and being a part of this. It really means a lot. It's so different than just being here alone in the forest to actually have this community around us. My husband is the best in forgetting people's faces. No, so I'm so happy that this is possible and that we have this community. It just really makes it possible, and it makes it so much more special, really, and connected. So I really enjoy that, and to know that you guys have something from it means a lot. Let's see here. Okay, we have most of the clouds. I'm getting some more definition into it, and I like that. So it's not going to be finished yet, the sky here, but I think it's quite a bit further. And the question now, of course, is, are there going to be any trees in this painting? I often paint paintings with the idea that, oh no, this time I'm not going to paint any trees. And then of course I always do. But I did want sand dunes, so I think I'm going to start trying to paint. I've never painted a sand dune before. So the way they are in Sylt, the place that we visited, sand that has kind of, I'm assuming, swept in from the sea, and they gather up in these huge dunes, and they are then really grown over with grasses and so on. And then you get a beach. So we kind of have the sand here, and then they kind of build up in dunes, and then there's grass on top of it. So I'm just gonna have to try here. And I think this are going to be rocks. I think I'm going to do a mishmash of what I remember from there and just my imagination. And see. And people are sharing their names, which is wonderful. Tessa from Tessa. And Tess says it doesn't have a meaning. Well, I think most names actually do. I know that a lot of the names that we have now just kind of become normal in the sense that we don't remember the meaning. I know Joachim actually has it's a Christian name, even though I'm not religious. I think it means beloved of God or something like that. My parents had no idea. They just liked the name. They're not religious. But eventually I Googled my name and found out that, oh, my very non-religious parents gave me a very religious name, which isn't bad. But yeah, often the particular meaning behind names are often gotten forgotten in history. Is there a reason you know of what you would call? Oh, I think Imuna. I think people are talking to each other. That's wonderful. Jack literally like seeing a ghost. Yeah, if you see this stream later and you can see the chat, it's very lively now, and I'm very happy about that. People are sharing their names, and and apparently Jack sounds scary. Oh, it's the sound. Yeah, so let's see if we can get these dunes in, and I think I'm gonna have to start planting some grass on top of them so that we can get an idea of perspective, because of course that's one of the reasons why I like to plant trees and so on into my painting, is because they kind of show how big everything is. But I'm fairly certain that I don't want any trees, which means that we're going to have plants, and those plants are going to have to be clear enough and big enough that you can get some kind of idea of the size of things here. So this can obviously be a lot closer than the things out here. No, Jack's name's not scary. Oh no, that wasn't what you meant. No, I get it. How often, by the way, how often do you do these lives? Oh, very irregularly. So sometimes I do quite a few, just once a day I did. And then it can take a month for the next one. So I have no schedule at all for these live streams. I always plan to do more, and then some things come in the way. So there's no schedule to them now. It might actually take quite a while for the next one, or I might do it the day after tomorrow. I think at some point I will actually have a schedule, and it'll be easier to know. The story he said sounds scary, right? I was busy with my painting and didn't follow what was going on enough. So yeah, I'm going to be doing more streams, I think, when we have moved and at a more regular schedule. But at the moment, they are quite random, and I've only recently started announcing them at all. But yeah, that is going to change, I think. The painting is gorgeous so far. Thank you. Well, now comes the more difficult parts, really. Seeing as though I haven't really painted anything like this before. At least not in a very long time. I'm not entirely sure how this is going to progress. So I think I'm just going to plant some grasses and kind of see how that works. Joachim, you're so nice. Thank you. It was more happy. It was a nice elderly man who used to talk to me when I was younger, but I didn't see him for years, quite small, when I described him to Senpai. Okay, let's see if... Huh. Okay, so since... maybe a tree. let's see. I'm gonna do some grasses and see if that's enough to get perspective and so on. Someone says he died incorrectly. It was a very nice surprise when I saw him again. Oh, I think I didn't get the start of the story. So for those of you who are confused, that's okay, because I am a bit confused too. Okay, let's see. So the grasses kind of grow on top of the dunes. So if you imagine that it's drifted in here, and we have the dunes here. I think I'm just gonna have to start doing some grasses, and we'll see about the size and so on. And they have to be darker, otherwise I can't see anything. It's so pretty. Thank you, Vini. That is very good. And we'll see if I can keep it pretty and not ruin it. So if we have some grass here, I think that's going to help. So once I have the grasses, I can work on the dunes. I think these dunes aren't going to be very big. So sometimes they're just kind of small little tufts, and the grass kind of grows on the top. The painting is just amazing. Really love the world that you create each time. I literally want to live in every one of them. Thank you, Cressy. Yeah, that's always my hope, that it's nice enough that you can kind of delve into it. It's quite weird, but I've seen him quite a lot recently. That is Senpai's story again. Let's see here. I might want to scroll up to get the rest of it. Okay, so if the grass is this big, then we can start to have an idea of how big everything else is, which means that it's actually quite big, and I can't make these waves too large. But I can force the perspective a bit, so I can actually move everything a bit further away. We'll just make a line from this, and maybe down to here, and then a line here, and I'll make the grass smaller over here, so that the depth is created quite quickly, and things are further away than they look right now. So that always a big part of this is to know how big things are, know how far away everything is, and to keep that, because sometimes you can make a huge tree here and then suddenly you have large grasses here and everything goes very wrong. So it's always important to remember what size everything is at each line. So lovely, Jack. People were once congratulating me for getting married when I didn't even have a boyfriend, so that's funny, and I don't know how this happened. Let's see here. What I can't see is that it's not that easy for you guys to see the details. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to move it a bit further away. So I had it on widescreen, which means that the details didn't come out that well. But now I think you guys can see it better. Yeah, and at this point now, as you can probably tell, I have calmed down a bit and can concentrate a bit more on all the little details. Ah, that's better, yes. Very good. Yeah, the widescreen is practical, but the resolution isn't good. So I probably should have had this from the beginning. But at least now you guys can see the details and we can actually work more on the waves and so on. I've often found that when I've filmed these things, it often doesn't show how detailed things are. Especially with the smallest lines. And I can remember that the dunes, they had some plants on top of them that were wonderful different colors. And I think some purple and so on. So I think I'm going to be introducing quite a lot of different colors into these dunes when we go along. One very practical thing that is good to remember about making perspective is to paint something very close and then paint the same thing further away and further away and further away. And then even if it's just a green dot at the end, your mind will still think that it's the same thing that you painted in the very front. And that's a very good way of forcing perspective. This painting is truly amazing. Thank you, thank you. And just begun, I think. Although it's getting along. It's getting along. And then I seem to remember that the shadow of the sand was purple. So we're going to have to get that into it too at some point. And I am starting to realize that this is actually going to be quite an extensive painting. So I really, really doubt if we're going to manage to get it all finished this evening. Because it's already 10 o'clock. And I think we started it 8:15. My God, the time just flies by. Yeah, I kind of had hoped that it would be possible to finish the entire painting, but I mean, these books, they take quite a while. I really love the far islands, so deep. Oh, thank you. I'm kind of pleased with them myself, even though I'm gonna have to do a little bit of work here. Yeah, I really like that, the feel of just being deep in the painting. It's 11 in Bulgaria. Oh, that makes sense. Well, I think we can keep this going for a little while longer at least. Yes, I like it too, Tessa says. I am glad. Yeah, I kind of thought that they would give it all a bit more depth. And let's make this horizon a bit more blurry, I think. Just so it's a bit deeper. I would like the feeling of just staring far, far into the distance. And to that point, I think it can be quite a bit more detailed. Find one of my smaller brushes now. Yes, please keep it for a while more. Yes, I will. I think at least an hour we can manage. There's so much to do here in this painting. So many different details. And I mean, essentially, I can paint a painting like this forever. There's always more to do. So even though I said that I kind of know when it's finished in a way, that doesn't mean I couldn't keep painting. I can always make it more detailed. There's really no limit. And I mean, that's one of my plans. We're not going to do that because I would like to keep on this one. But for instance, on the talismans that I was going to paint a bit on, there I can focus completely on the very tiny, tiny details. And there I really noticed that, yeah, it doesn't go that much faster because you can just focus so much more on the details. Painting is turning into a nice fall time scene. Thank you. Yeah, so I think, yeah, I'm really interested how it's going to progress. But I'm getting more and more of an idea now. And I think some wild waves here and the crashing in and so on. And with the waves, there's a lot of work to do there. But let's see how far we can go. Of course, with the sun, there's more work to be done, and so on. But what I really like when we get to this stage is just the focus on the details. Imagine painting 100, 200 years ago. The scenery must have been glorious. Oh, I imagine the forests. Absolutely. Just the untouched nature. You're so good on the details. I'm always amazed on how soon I think the painting is ready and how much more details and beauty you're adding to it. Thank you. Yeah, I always find that it's always possible to add a bit more and go a bit deeper in. And I found a while ago, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to create that here, but there's a way to get the sun to shine in a very pleasing way if it's a bit darker inside than it is at the edges. I keep trying to recreate it and not really getting it, but let's see if it's possible. Nature everywhere, no buildings, cars, people. Oh, that would just be amazing. And I just imagine, for instance, in Germany or most places really where there are lots of people, how the forest must have been. Just enormous untouched forests that have stood for thousands of years with all of the different connections between the trees undisturbed. I think you have to go even further back for that, but just nature in the fertile areas, because obviously there's untouched nature now, but it's almost always on marginal land. So to see the truly fertile places in the world, for instance the Nile Valley or in the Ruhrgebiet in Germany and the Thames, just undisturbed, it must have been incredible and so much life. Oh yes, it's making the sun shine more like that. I am glad. Let's see if this works well. Not entirely finished with the sun, but I think we can basically leave it a bit like this for a little while and then I'll get back to it just to dry off a little bit and then I'll come back. Well, let's just get a little bit of yellow into it too. But yeah, that just see that the really old growth forests would just be incredible. They're basically all gone now. Senpai asks if anyone has any interesting plans for the weekend. Well, I have the shop opening, so that's what I have to do this weekend. And Lena is working on her next video, which will come out soon. And everyone else, you guys have to answer for yourself. Emuna does not. I always hated that question when I was in school, because I never had any interesting plans in the weekend. Because my idea of a good weekend was not to do anything, and then everyone asks you, what have you been doing, and so on, and I didn't have a good answer. No, not really. Very good. You guys can join me for the opening on Sunday. And maybe we'll get another live stream in at some point. All the interesting things that people were doing, I just thought were horrible. But of course, everyone just kind of wants you to say something, okay, I did this and this and this. But I didn't. I'm falling asleep. Yeah, I always heard that. When I read aloud in class, people they wouldn't complain because they thought it was quite nice. They just all fell asleep while I was reading. Never knew if I wanted to take that as a compliment, but now, of course, I do, because I want a relaxed atmosphere, and if you can sleep to this stream, then I am very pleased. Jack, my nephew has birthday. Congratulations to your nephew. Say happy birthday from, I think, all of us. And do you have plans? Tessa asks Senpai. Let's see. Happy birthday to your nephew. Well, I'm not doing much myself either. I might go swimming tomorrow evening and possibly camp out the night. Well, that sounds nice. Okay, let's get some more waves, I think. That sun needs a little bit more work, but I'm going to leave it for now and get back to it. Although, of course, this really annoys me. So this has to be much straighter, and this should be straight. So let's just do that so that I can get rid of that annoyance. I'll spend some time to pack my things. I'll spend my school year in Germany, Agatha says. Oh, wonderful. These paintings should be in every hospital bedrooms. Oh, that's nice, BRW. I've often thought about the fact that you need very different things in hospitals. Not just these awful walls and something to look at. And a big landscape painting, I think, would heal me much faster than a lot of the things that they have in the hospital wings. I absolutely agree that there should be nice things to look at when you're in the hospital. I always thought that the best hospital bed should be in a little forest grove. There is definitely room for improvement. Yeah, I think in the hospital you should have something soothing. So absolutely, I agree, Senpai. Thank you. And every child's bedroom. That is so lovely. I think I'm gonna have quite a lot of work to do then. But I agree that at least it doesn't have to be my paintings, but something that's soothing and relaxing and nice to look at. Good night, everyone. Krillit says, thank you for a nice live stream. See you next time. See you. Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Good night. And thank you for joining. there we have, I think, maybe one or two more of these, actually, now that I'm at it. We'll do a little bit of lighting here. I think that's nice. Gotta be subtle, though. No tent, as some locals are very grumpy about wild camping. There's not much freedoms to camp in Wales, Senpai says. Oh, well, you should camp in Scandinavia, then. There is a law called the right of every man, which means that you're allowed to camp almost everywhere for at least for 3 days. And basically at every waterside too, because that's considered the right of the people. So you're just basically in the wrong country, senpai. I know that some Norwegians that I heard about, that I know, were camping in the United States, and they thought there was like Norway. Realized that when they went hiking, that basically everything is just fenced in. They couldn't go anywhere. Wonderful open country, but everything's just fenced in. What are you going to be studying? Senpai asks Agata. Adding, of course, if she doesn't mind him asking. No pressure to answer anything that anyone doesn't want to answer here. But I hope it's a nice enough environment that it shouldn't be too scary. Okay, so we opened up the sun a bit here. And then off to the water again. Let's see. Lots of people in Wales want similar laws and freedom to roam, but the government is more bothered with other things. Right. Yeah, I get that. Oh, we couldn't be camping the way we have done if we hadn't that law. So I'm really happy about that. I am falling asleep, Emuna says. So good night to you all. Thank you so much for this. Thank you for joining, Emuna. And till next time. Always glad to have you here. And nice that you reconnected with so many of the regulars here now. And yeah, hope to see you in another stream. And good night. Thank you for joining. I will be uploading this to YouTube, and you can see the rest there if you wish. You're welcome to Sweden, Creative says. Yes, Sweden has the same law. German doesn't have a good reputation in France, but I love it. Yes, German. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, then you'll fit right in to this little family we have here. Thank you once again, and have a nice sleep, Krusty says. Tessa says good night to Muna. Muna has many hearts for people. I mean the language, not people. Yeah, I know. Well, the people have a history too. I know what you mean. They are the language. But I actually really love German. It's a very deep language. I know it often doesn't sound as melodic as other languages. But once you read Goethe and the old classics and you get into the really deep stories, German is a wonderful language. It really has a depth to it, I think. And Senpai, of course, starts talking happily along in French. I don't know a word of French, so... But I can try to translate it. Où habitez-vous? You live in France. I speak France and something. They're probably not good or something like that. At least all of these languages seem to be similar enough that you can always at least try to sneak out the meaning. Please excuse the inevitable grammar mistakes, but tell me if Well, if you guys are going to start speaking French, I'm going to have to bow out and let you guys talk, because I can't translate anything while I'm doing a live stream. German, of course, would be better. Agatha, I assume you know that both me and Lena are German, and we were just in Germany. So very happy that you're studying the language. And Agatha says good night to Amuna. Let's see here. So this water is really giving me some difficulties. I'm gonna have to have a technique to do this a bit faster. But we'll see. And Amuna says thank you. So yeah, I probably do have to find a way to get you all a place to connect, because this is really nice, and I am sure that there are those of you who are going to create friendships here that are outside of the stream, which would be lovely. Sorry if you don't speak French, I made a bit of an assumption here. Well, I'm making the same assumption, I have to admit. And where in Germany are you going to be studying? I am French and I lived all my life in France, Agatha says. So yeah, now I can honestly say that I've been in almost, I think actually in every region of Germany. Because now we were in the north, and that was the last part I haven't been to. Did that what I write make any sense? Senpai asked. I cannot say, and I'm sure it's not directed at me. So yeah, this goes for everyone. I feel very much free to talk to each other in this stream. I really enjoy that. Just creating this space where you guys can talk and I can paint, and that's one of the wonderful things about this, just having it be completely informal. Are there other artists who inspire you? Yes, absolutely. Most of them are dead. I really, really like Caspar David Friedrich, one of the old National Romantic painters, German one. I love the Hudson River School painters, which was the same period but in the United States. I really enjoy Hans Gud and Ise Dahl of Norway. Ise Dahl painted with Caspar David Friedrich for a while. So the old National Romantic painters I really, really like, because that was the time when they started to appreciate, well, it was a nationalistic undertones, but if we ignore that part, they started to appreciate just the landscape and the nature where they lived. And those paintings I think are wonderful. But yeah, the main one is really Caspar David Friedrich, because he, I think, is one of the ones that really started to get the emotions and into the realist landscape paintings. So not just to recreate a landscape, but to really make a mood of it. And I think his landscapes are just incredibly wonderful. So I think Caspar David Friedrich has inspired me more than any other painter. So yeah, those are the main ones. You said most are dead. Are there any? Oh, I should probably have said that all are dead. Then, there is an artist who really inspires me. He's a photorealist, which is completely different than what I do, because he paints from photos, but incredibly well. I cannot remember his name. He's huge though. He paints paintings on YouTube as well. So if you just type in landscape painting, I think his paintings are probably the ones that are, you find them right away, and he does wonderful stuff. But yeah, I think basically all of them are dead. It was nice when Dana said she could keep all the new books. She would keep all the new books if she could. Yeah, she did say that in the in the last post she made. I really appreciated that too. Yeah, Lena is a great inspiration and support with all of this. And she actually was the one who got me onto these books, because she bought one of these books from those that are making it, where we bought them from, for her own journaling, before I had any idea that I was going to paint on them. And then it just looked so wonderful that we then asked if we could, if I could paint on them, basically, and we could buy many more of them. Lena is so nice. Yes, I very much agree, Gracie. She is very nice, and she is now working on the video from our travels. And I think that's going to be really wonderful. I know that's going to be wonderful. And if anyone here heard those strange sounds, that was our dog, Ivy, was shaking himself. Did you visit Lena's homeland before your last trip, or was it the first time you were there? It not the first time I was in Germany at all, because I am half German. I've been there a lot all my life. But it was the first time I visited the north of Germany and her family. So in that sense, it was actually the first time. I've never been in northern Germany in those parts before. And it is very different. So all of the things that most of you guys know from Germany, those of you who aren't familiar with Germany, obviously, or are German, it's usually kind of from Bayern, Bavaria, the southern parts. You know, the Lederhosen and Bier kind of thing. And but northern Germany is much more like Denmark, the culture-wise and so on. And with the lovely little reed roofs and so on. It's very different than what I know of Germany. So it was the first time to see that, and that was really nice. Yeah, I meant the northern parts of Germany, Erna says. Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's it. Yeah, it was, absolutely. It was the first time I visited those parts of Germany. You and her work is an escape into beauty, Krusty says. Thank you. That is so wonderful of you to say that. That is very much a hope that what we do can inspire and just be something good in your day, basically. There's so many things that kind of leave you worse off than when you started to watch it, and we hope to will not be that you actually feel better afterwards. And just to contribute in our small part. Greetings from Bavaria. Pfirsich. Oh, then I can probably pronounce this then. Pfirsich Apfelmoment. Pfirsich Apfelmoment. Greetings to you from the Germany that most people know. Yeah, I think most of the movies and so on from the United States about Germany at the time when Germany kind of got more known again are from Bavaria, basically. So it's not so strange that that's what most people know as Germany. Not at all, Jack. I tried to translate. Right. Jack is trying to speak French, write French, and I think it's going well. So yeah, I'm just trying to find my bearings here with these waves, and there's a lot to do with them. So I'm just going slowly so that I'm not doing things that I can't take back, basically. So if it's looking like not much is changing here, it's because I'm trying to find my bearings. And Krasi says hi to Pfirsich Apfelmoment, which I am now very pleased that I can pronounce, because that was German and I wasn't sure. Again, all of those noises are Ivy, who came in to have a look at what I'm doing. Ivy is our dog, for those of you who don't know. So we had a really wonderful trip to Germany, and lots of things, new things that I hadn't seen before. And of course, to meet Lena's family was very exciting. And yeah, so Lena is making a video now, and it's going to be basically about the trip. So you can all know what I mean about northern Germany and how it looks. It's very distinct. So we visited Hamburg and Lüneburg, and then we went to Sylt, and all of those are very much in the north of Germany, at the border to Denmark, basically. Lüneburg is so lovely, Arne says. Yeah, it was a wonderful, wonderful little city. Very sweet, lovely, lovely old buildings. We were in the old town too. So I can absolutely recommend visiting Lüneburg if anyone's in that part of Germany. Lovely little old town. I love those German old towns. There's nothing really quite like it in Norway. You just really feel like you stepped into the Middle Ages when you're in them. I lived in Heidelberg for a while, and they have a wonderful old town. I actually lived in the old town. That was wonderful too. I'm very excited about your travel up north, Krusty says, and about your next adventure with the farm. I am too. That's going to be the video after this one, I think. Or maybe there's going to be one before that. I don't know. But I'm really, really looking forward to that adventure. It's going to be so exciting. And of course, it's going to be a hard winter, but I think that's going to be nice to make videos about at least. So we're not going to have any running water. We're going to have to heat a lot with wood because there are only one pane windows, so and not properly isolated. And yeah, it's basically going to be a little step back in time. But both me and Lena have lived very, very simply before, so we're quite ready for it. And it's just going to be wonderful to get going on that adventure. So we're really, really looking forward to moving up north. And of course we are moving in November, so that's a wonderful time for Northern Lights, which is going to be incredibly exciting. I wish I could take you guys along when we see the Northern Lights in a live stream or something like that, but I don't think I can film both things at the same time, but Lena's going to film a lot. Hard but worth it, exactly. And you feel so much more alive when you're when life is more extreme. I always enjoy that. So we're gonna have to carry water from the river. The river is probably gonna freeze over, so we're gonna have to hack our way down through the frozen river to get water. And yeah, but but that really makes you feel alive, and I'm just really looking forward to that. So now it's just kind of the final things. We have this launch, and then we're going to start packing, and our next launch is going to be from there. So I'm going to have to paint everything here, and then we'll take it with us. Oh my god, it's on my bucket list to see the Northern Lights. Oh, it should be. I studied in Tromsø for a while, and there are wonderful Northern Lights there too. And I just fell in love with them. It's just such an incredible phenomena. And now that I know that we're actually moving up north in the perfect area for Northern Lights, I'm so excited. I always had my alarm at 2 o'clock in the night, and then sat on top of my desk and watched the Northern Lights from my window. because obviously the best time to see the Northern Lights is in the middle of the night, and it's just such incredible spectacle, really. It's so beautiful, and you just feel like you're transported into a completely different world. The way they move and the colors, and it's just incredible. So I can't wait. We can see a bit of Northern Lights here, but very, very weak. So the actual proper Northern Lights I haven't seen in quite a while, and I'm so excited of seeing them again now. So I think there are going to be a lot of paintings with the Northern Lights. And the next launch is going to, one of these books has the Northern Lights, and I have a cup with the Northern Lights, but there's going to be a lot more, obviously, once we moved, and I can really, really have them in my mind when I paint. Because now I'm relying on old memories, which isn't quite the same. I'm about to finally cross them off my bucket list in a couple of months and finish Lapland. I cannot wait for that moment. Oh, wonderful, Anna. Polarlichter Pilgrimart says yes. Oh, that's brilliant. I can just really recommend just being very remember to have your alarm in the middle of the night and look up and remember. If they're not there, they might appear in the next 10 minutes. They can come and go. So be very, very patient, and just basically there are so many more Northern Lights than you know often when you live at those latitudes, because you really do have to look for them, and you have to be awake a lot in the night. And they can come and go, so suddenly you can have like 10 minutes that night where there are wonderful Northern Lights and nothing the rest of the night. But then it's just about being relentless and not giving up and setting your alarm, looking up, no Northern Lights, go to sleep, set the alarm again, look up the next hour, and then suddenly they are there. And it's taken me ages to actually dare to try to paint them. But now that I've done it a few times, it's more familiar, and so I'm going to be painting so much more of them in the time to come. Hey, how is Tromsø? I'm thinking of studying there. Oh, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful community too. So you get so close to the people, especially in the winter. They have a wonderful, wonderful. Basically, the entire university is underground too, because it's so dark in the winter, and then you just have the lights downstairs basically. So the community is really, really nice and very tight knit. Just because of that, you're on a wonderful little island in Tromsø. Yeah, I can heartily recommend it. It's a wonderful place to study, and people are really nice. And since it gets so dark and it's so far away from everywhere, it just feels really connected. Everyone gets very, very connected during the winter time. So yeah, I can absolutely recommend it. If you have a chance to study in Tromsø, take it. It's the northernmost university in the world, as far as at least the larger university. I think there might actually be one in Svalbard, but I think that's not an actual university. There's basically no place in the world really you can live with such a mild temperature at such high altitudes, because of the Gulf Stream that makes Norway, it makes it habitable basically much further north than you usually would have it. So in the United States, of course, there are some people living that far north, but it's the environment is much harsher. Tromsø actually isn't that cold. Again, because of the Gulf Stream. And of course in the summer you have it's daylight all the time, and that has its own magic. So of course you do have to like extremes, but it's yeah, I can just recommend. Take the opportunity if you have it. You will never forget studying in Tromsø. And try to get a room with a window looking north, so that you can see the northern lights. Which I have to admit, seeing as though I'm not actually working with what I studied and never really honestly planned to. I went to Tromsø for the northern lights and just that experience of being that far north. And it was worth it, absolutely. And if you're studying something you actually enjoy, even better. That sound again, if anyone can hear it, that is our dog, who seems to have woken up a bit more. Okay, it's starting to take shape, all of this. How is Ivy doing? Ivy is doing well. We had to leave him in a farm that we both me and Lena used to live on, because it was just too much to take him with him to Germany and he wouldn't have enjoyed it. But he had a really good time there. Was very active and got a lot of love, and had a really good time. So now he is basically sleeping all day because he's exhausted. He moved a lot more than he does here. So I think he's happy to be back, even though he had a really good time. And now I'm really excited about taking him along for our next adventure. Ivy is Romanian, so he's my neighbor. Very true. He is Romanian. Ivy, for those of you who don't know, is our dog. Lena's dog, really, but I see him as my dog now too. And she adopted him from Romania. He was a Romanian street dog, although you wouldn't know it looking at him now, seeing as though he's very much a couch potato. And loves people. No idea how he survived on the street, really. But he comes from Romania. But he's really cute. Most dogs you actually have to catch and then bring into a shelter. But Ivy, apparently, he just trotted along after those that were catching dogs. They didn't actually have room for him, but he apparently really wanted to be part of it. So the woman who was collecting dogs took a shine to him and relented and took him in. And I think he was very, very ready to be off the streets. And the first time Lena got him after his long trip to Germany, he just sprang right into her arms. Not shy in any way. So yeah, I think he kind of just waited to be adopted. He's so nice, and I love the video of Lena made of some of his clumsy move. Oh yes, he's not necessarily what I'd call graceful. He tends to move before he thinks, and that can end up in a lot of strange little falls. So this is the point where a lot of detail work is starting. So a lot of the sky, this question is of course if there are going to be more darker clouds in front that would create depth. And so I think I will do that without asking anyone. And don't freak out. This might look scary at first, maybe in the end too, but let's hope that it goes well and doesn't turn out too poorly. So I'm going to paint a darker clouds into the sky, and let's see how that goes. Do you use other media other than oil paints? I'm a little scared of using oil paints. Oh, don't be. Oil is wonderful. And the other paints that I use glass painting, and I use porcelain paint. And both of those are more difficult than oil. And oil is very similar to acrylic. It's not, you're just basically painting with oil into the paint instead of water. It's not that much of a difference, so don't let that scare you off. Ivy as a dog is born to be star of the video when he appears. Absolutely. Very, very true. 2 of my friends have some very lovely sheepdogs. Who's calm and quiet, and there's on their yeah, I think Ivy is not a sheepdog. Ivy is a couch dog, basically. It's not a working dog. Okay, so that might be the color, but I think a little bit more red into it. Tornado, a very appropriate name. Dogs are just beautiful, beautiful creatures. Okay, so a little bit of concentration now. So I like to imagine what kind of movement there's in the clouds. So let's see if it's kind of drifted up there, and the wind has taken it with it. And then it kind of breaks up in these, like this. And if it's come from here, you can kind of imagine that it's broken off in some stages. And then the wind has taken it down. If you work with oil, please don't forget to ventilate the room properly. Für sich ab für Moment tells me that is true, especially if you're thinning with turpentine. You should really, so you can see that I'm not wearing gloves at the moment. I usually am, especially with the other colors that I have. So that's probably a good idea too. So yeah, cautionary. Be cautious, absolutely. It's not necessarily a healthy thing to do. So let's see, and this, we can let it drift up a bit more. So if we can see that these clouds, so it's kind of, it comes from here, and then the clouds drift up, and if there's wind from here, we kind of let it take it along. And we get these little clouds like that. And I think actually we'll do it across, even though that's a bit scary. But what it does do it as it creates depth into the painting, and all of the other clouds will move further into the background. And I always like that, even though it's really scary because this really can't be undone. And let's see, the clouds might meet there. Whew, it's always very, very scary to do this, but I think we'll continue anyway. So we can imagine that the cloud comes from here, and if it just a small breeze from the left to the right. Have you created one for yourself and Lena? I have not yet, and I might at some point, but since we have hopes of buying perhaps a farm at some point and lots of things to invest, it's we might not actually have the money right now to get to get one of these books, because obviously if I make a book for us, I can't sell it, and that's basically the price. So they're just as expensive for me as for anyone else. You are very brave, Cressy says. Well, I don't feel it right now, but I think it's a good thing. So as you can see, when I paint clouds, I like to imagine how they move in order to get it right, instead of just making blobs. I really like that cloud that's underneath there. I don't want to get rid of the entire thing, but just like that. So if it's blown from this side, it can be in small little layers, and they kind of stop there. So yeah, to imagine the movement of the clouds when you paint them really makes it easier to paint them, basically. It's admiring how you can paint and talk at the same time. It's so hard for me. Don't you feel confused? Well, the nice thing is that painting and talking really does seem to occupy different parts of the brain. So you can notice if I have to concentrate, I do get a bit confused. And following the chat can be a bit of a challenge. But it does seem that it occupies just really different parts of my brain. And my arm kind of knows what to do, and my mouth seems to have very little part of it, so I am free to speak. But it's taken a bit of practice, and I'm sure I'll get better at it. So I get the feeling that it seems a bit impossible, but it's actually quite alright. Okay, so now we have some clouds that go across. I might want to get some more life into them at some point. I've been popping on and off this live stream this evening, Emma says. It's so fun to see the progress in the painting since the start. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that that would be possible here. So absolutely, you don't have to be a part of it all the time to see how it progresses. And it's coming along. We've done quite a lot here. The leather spine of the book resembles a tree. Right. Yes, some of the books that I've made have trees along the entire book. And so that actually does become kind of like a tree. Of course, here that's not the case. But yeah, I kind of like that part of it. Okay, so we have some clouds across there now. I'm battling not putting trees into this painting. I talked about this before, and I think I'm not going to be able to resist the temptation. Wouldn't it be nice with a tree here? And maybe a tree here. I think so. It would really... It would just be more. And I'm not sure. If you guys have any ideas, let me know. This will be a conversation magnet. I hope so. So yeah, if you struggle to make friends at the university or your job or anywhere, maybe these books can be a way of starting a conversation. Getting some people curious, and it's always easier to talk about something else than yourself in the beginning. So maybe they can have an effect like that. I am struggling with this idea if there are going to be trees here or not. But I mean, it's quite late now, and maybe this is not the point to put in trees. Now, I don't mean late in the painting, but just late in the evening. And maybe I should let the painting rest and then see if it wants some trees in it or not. The power of trees is too strong for you. It might be, Agatha. It might be. Well, the thing with trees is that it's not going to be as open anymore. And the focus is going to be more on the trees. So I might just focus more on painting. There's going to be a lot more shrubbery, and there might be more color in them. And of course on the waves. And the trees might overburden the painting a bit. So that's my concern. I think the painting is done. The ocean is calling us out. It might be, you might be right. I don't think the painting is done in the sense that I'm done painting it, but I think maybe the main parts of it are done, and I just have to focus on the details now. For instance, all of the waves I think should have more of this kind of a feel to it. So there's an enormous amount of detail work to be done on the waves. But the main part of the painting might actually want to stay the way they are. Correct. Yes, so that's what you meant. Very good. Yeah, I think you're right. I will decide that then. No trees for this painting. Finally, I've managed to create a painting without trees. I love trees, but not every painting should have a tree. Variety is good. And that frees me up to focus completely on... I think these waves can just be detailed to just the ridiculous, I think. Sometimes that's just nice. Peaceful to see, Steffi says. I'd say the same. I'd love to see this landscape more open without trees. Yes. Okay, I think we've made a decision. No trees. And lots of details for the waves. And yeah, just this openness is nice. Oh, that was terrible grammar. Oh, that is very much okay. Do not worry about grammar in this channel. I have always thought that if you can be understood, grammar is not only secondary, it is very unnecessary. I think no trees too. Very good. Then we have a unanimous decision here. And no trees. That is what I said in the beginning, so it's nice to keep that. I always end up painting trees, but that doesn't mean they actually should be there. And I think if I can make the waves and the water lively enough, then that's more than enough for the painting. Agatha says no trees. I agree. Very, very good. Completely unanimous here. That means that the decision is correct, I think. The power of trees is too strong for us. It is indeed. It seems that we wanted more calm and quiet today. We can make more powerful tree paintings at a later date. You must provide a book stand so we can show off the artwork. Well, at some point, I am sure that the most dedicated of you will find your way to the store that I hope to have one day. Because I would like to have an actual store. And then maybe we can have an exhibition at some point, and those of you who have bought different things can bring them along. And we can show them off there, and I will provide the book stand. So that is actually a very interesting thought too. I am sure that at some point I will meet some of you. And that's going to be very, very fun, because obviously I'm starting to know quite a few of you now, but I have no idea what you look like. And then suddenly to meet would be fun. So I thought it might be nice to have a little store where there can be chairs and there can be couches and places to sit, and maybe someone has a little coffee shop next door, so you can just be a place to be too. Because that's not necessarily going to be to just sell things, but actually a meeting place. It doesn't have to be open too much. Most of the things we sell are over online anyway. But maybe open once a week, and just a place to meet, and yeah, where you can actually see the things that I do, and I can meet people in not in real life, because this is very much real, but in face-to-face. I think that would be really nice. And if you guys have vacations in Norway, then that can be a place to come to. So I really, well, I know I am going to fulfill that dream. The only question is when. But there is going to be a store at some point. And I'm imagining an old little Harry Pottery store with a little bell and wooden beams and yeah, just a world basically where you can kind of lose yourself and you step into a door and you just step into a different universe. I'd have to visit during a trip that I hope to have in Norway someday. Yes, do that. Also, just creating this world. I always loved creating worlds, and in the end, I would like to create one in the world, basically. So, you know, that kind of store that you would wish to be in when you were a child, just this place of imagination and yeah. It sounds magical. I think so, and I really know it's going to be like that. And I'm so looking forward to realizing that dream. And then the different candle glasses and just some huge candle glasses with some large torches in them and casting shadows on the wall. I think it could be a really magical place. I've had no dreams of visiting northern countries, but now I do, Cressy says. Very good. Very good indeed. Layer upon layer, layer of depth, atmosphere and imagination. Yes, very absolutely. I've always had a wonder for northern countries, and I enjoy feeling cold or winter. Oh yes, me too. It's starting to get colder here now, and you can not quite smell the snow in the air yet, but it's getting there. I always love the first snows. And that's exactly the feeling I want in the store too. You know, when you're cold and tired and you on a winter's day and it's dark outside, and then you come inside and there's fire and warmth and lights. So yeah, that's that's a particular dream I can't wait to fulfill. I have mixed feelings about cold winter. Well, the nice things about the cold winter is then to get to sit by a warm fire and warm yourself up, and there's nothing like it. So as long as you can get to a good fire and warm yourself up afterwards, I can assure you that it's worth freezing a bit. But of course you have to acclimatize and get used to it. But I think bright nights would be my thing, definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. When it's this dark and cold, you can just really brighten everything up and have wonderful lights and so on. And no mosquitoes. If we don't get snow in the village, you can guarantee I'll be up on the mountains. In the village we get cold weather by Welsh standards, but not much snow. Oh, and the snow. Yes, the snow. Well, the snow is what makes it very light. So I think actually the darkest period here really is in kind of October, November. And then when the snow comes, suddenly it really does get quite light. And if there's a full moon and there's snow everywhere, it's almost daylight. And in that sense, it's much lighter than you'd actually think, even in the darkest winter nights. I mean about the summer. All right, Grass. Yeah, well, that's why you want to come in the winter, because there are no mosquitoes. Or early spring when they haven't hatched yet. So I think the stream is slowly going towards an end, because I mean we have 11 when we started at 8:15, 9:15, 10:15. I've almost done this for 3 hours now. So I think maybe we should start thinking, I should start thinking about ending the stream. It's always kind of a sad moment, this. And so many people are here. I'm going to give everyone a little bit of time to get used to the idea that we have to part ways very soon. But I just want to say I've had such a nice time on this stream. In a way, that's good. I was just in the kind of want to stay but need to go stage. You could have been Tolkien's official artist. Thank you, I do love Tolkien. One of my favorite books is about firewood. It was written in Norwegian but an English copy. I have to get up early tomorrow, so I agree. Although I want to stay up all night. Well, at some point we will do that. But not tonight. And I'll give everyone a chance to say goodbye. I will be cleaning my brushes in the meanwhile. And give you all a chance to say goodnight. And I've had such a good time. I'm so glad I did this. And there my light went out, actually, my candle. So I think it really is time. But yeah, I've had such a nice time. And thank you so much for this stream. And that you guys are here and share it with me. And yeah, just this space that opens up here is just wonderful. It's such a lovely time to just sit here and chat with you guys and paint. And it's getting more enjoyable every time. And I get to know you and you get to know each other. And it's just wonderful. Best of luck with your move. Thank you. Good night, all. We have to put our heads together about some sort of community group. Yes, Senpai, I will look into that. Good night, everyone, Arne says, and someone else could do that too. Good night, all. Thank you so much, Joachim, for this space. Oh, you're so welcome. Absolutely love it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Goodbye and good night to everyone from Akata. Good night to you. Thank you, Joachim, from Tessa. Good night. Good night, everyone. What will be the release time for Eastern Canada? Well, I don't know for Eastern Canada. It will be... I don't know the time at all, actually. So you have to sign up for our newsletter on our webpage. And you'll get a little mail. I don't know the release time now. It will probably be sometime in the morning in Canada. Eastern Canada... maybe around between 9 and 12 in the morning. Good night to you, Rosina. It was wonderful. I really enjoyed your last video. And thank you for joining. It's so nice to have you guys here. Godnatt from Emil. Godnatt. Yes, we haven't decided on a release time, I'm afraid. It's something like that. Cool. Thanks and take care, everyone, from BRW. Take care. Let's see, I'm almost through with my brushes, and I think most of you have gotten to say good night, but I will wait a little bit longer. With all these good nights, my mind is wandering to the sound of music, the good night song from Emma. It's so nice to get to know all of you guys, and these streams are just really, really lovely. I will figure out something about the community. If anyone has any good ideas, let me know. You can always send me a direct mail in Instagram. I try to respond to everything. And yeah, as I said, I will put this up on YouTube, I think, and at least on Instagram TV, so you can always watch it later. And there I have cleaned my last brush, and I can see that most of you are leaving. So good night, and thank you all. Until next time.